Welcome back to Dork Points, everybody. This is Ron, and welcome to the Cheapness. These are the cheapest of the cheap. These are games, none of which are over $2.99, and most of which were about 99 cents at most, including Swamp Defense, which I think was actually 75 cents. So here it is. It's a tower defense game where you play as you got all these different characters to defend, like they're the towers. And there's a little baby with a bazooka, and it's swamp defense, so they're all rednecky and making fun of Florida people, I guess. The game itself is really fun. I actually fell in love with it after a little bit and just became just so addicted to it, and I really liked it to a point. However, as you go on, and look at how many levels there are. Yeah, this game doesn't end. And I am currently stuck at, no, it's not level 50. I believe it's 49? Yeah. I am currently stuck here, and I looked up a bunch of guide playthroughs on this level, and I did them. I followed the instructions, and I still could not beat this level. They don't give you enough money to purchase enough rednecks to fight the invasion, and immediately, and it's just I'm stuck on it forever, and yeah, none of the walkthroughs seem to help. I don't know what to say about it, but you know, I played 49 levels, and it was 99, maybe 75 cents. So I got my money's worth. Alright, moving on to Flipping Death. This was another one that was dirt cheap. And I don't know why these games are very popular, but as you can see, it's from the creators of Stick It to the Man and Zombie Vikings. And it's a great concept, and it has a great look to it, but at the same time, it's more of the same. It's basically a puzzle-solving game. So you are a young woman who has died accidentally, and Death wants to go on vacation, so he gives you the powers of Death. So you can switch between the living universe and the dead universe, and you have to do that back and forth in order to solve puzzles to move the story forward. It's, again, really fun and really good to look at. I love their whole weird 2D style to their games, but at the same time, you know, it's a puzzle solver. So when you get stuck, Like, figuring this boat puzzle out took me hours.
Oh, it was my pleasure.
And there's your character. But yeah, Flipping Death, from the creators of Stick It to the Man and Zombie Vikings, and I don't know what other games this company's done, but everything they do looks great. But you gotta have patience, and you gotta be down for a puzzler. And, you know, some nights I am, and some nights I'm not, and I do get to a point in all these games where I'll play through like 10 or 12, I'll get really far, and then I just lose interest, unfortunately. Alright, now Dark Sauce. Looking a lot like Minecraft. Yeah, look at these graphics. They're beautiful, very throwback, and like I said, Minecrafty. The game is very simple. Platforming. 2D, old school platforming, even though it's technically in 3D. But, yeah, you get it. You played Mario Brothers, right? Collect all the coins, and don't die. And, the screen sometimes, as you saw in that jump, is a little tricky, and all these levels get exceptionally hard. You know, it gets to the point where it's almost Save the Ninja Clan difficult. But if you play one of these levels, you know, if you're willing to invest the time in playing a single level for like an hour in one night, usually you will get it. But again, like a lot of these cheaper games, this one being like maybe 99 cents at most, this definitely was not a $2.99 game. This was cheap. But like all these games, yeah, I reached a point, it was like the second to the last level, where I was just like, I can't get it. Alright, moving on to Dakar 18. What is Dakar 18? It's apparently some kind of race that rich Europeans do in Africa, even though it no longer takes place in Africa or South America, or I don't know where it originally takes place, but there's some history to it. But it's like the world's most boring racer. There's competition, but you never see them. And you're supposed to follow, if you look at the top of the screen where the compass is, you're supposed to follow those yellow waypoints. And each time you reach a waypoint, you gain a point, I guess. And, you know, I did one race where I just followed the waypoints, and I did really good, and I beat the race. I got first, and it was cool. And then I played this race, and just got lost. It was, yeah, again, 99 cents. What do you expect? All right, State of Mind. State of Mind, this was the $2.99 one. I always saw this on sale, and it looked very interesting. It has an old school polygonal look to it. Like, oh my god, I'm gonna forget the name of it again. What is it? Oh lord. Another World, I think, is one of the games they did, and then, god, I can't remember what the other one is. But yeah, very old school look to it, and very cinematic, and it's basically just a story. You're moving through it. There are puzzles, though, I should say, and the puzzles are fairly simplistic once you get the hang of them. But for every level and every area, and as the story progresses, the puzzles always change, which is kind of a challenge. So sometimes you have to hack drones to move boxes around to get in front of cameras, like you can see a camera up there. And then other times you have to hack wall ports and do different kinds of puzzles to destroy cameras or security devices. But most of the game itself is all about walking through and playing the story. And I have to say, design-wise, story-wise, this game actually does knock it out of the park, eventually. But, oh my god, it's a long eventually to get there. Here's another puzzle. As you can see there, I gotta create this thing to zap this guy. And you gotta look a couple things up, which, again, I give that a minus every time I have to do that. There's, no way to figure them out with clues necessarily. But the main character himself, as you can see, who is stuck in a wall right now and glitching out, is relatively unpleasant. He is not a nice guy. He is an unpleasant fellow. He whines the whole game. You just don't like him, but if you hold out, that's kind of the point. And by the time you get to the to a certain point in the story, I believe, it gets really satisfying, and they really did pull it off pretty well.
As the wars raged on, the wizards' numbers dwindled. After dying and being revived countless times, they began to deteriorate. At the end of the wars, only a handful of wizards remained. Blabbering, violent, confused, never invited to parties. Their purpose and sanity unraveled. Without their protectors around to accidentally burn the crops, kill all the livestock, and incinerate most of the townspeople, the humans rejoiced and entered what came to be known as the Golden Age of Man. In this time of relative peace and calm, the gentle winds of time ruffled the sensitive braids and beards of the seers of the world. The greatest of them all was Nostrir the Soothsayer, and his vision was clear. A child, infused with all the stray magical energies released during the devastating wizard wars, had been born somewhere in Midgard. Once of age, this child would possess limitless power over the elements, and thus the ability to make the world a better place, free of suffering for all. But the prophecy also spoke of a shadow which intends to seize all of Midgard, and for its first step, it would prevent the child from ever realizing her power.
Alright, so I hope you enjoyed that little intro. That was probably the most enjoyable part of this game. We are playing Magicka 2. This was another game that was $1 or $2. It's a top-down, magic-wielding game. It's got a really good sense of humor to it, and I really did enjoy it, but at some point, they throw a lot of puzzles at you in this game, and I wanted it to be almost more like a Dragon Age. I know Dragon Age has mild puzzles, but yeah, there's a lot of really fun fighting, and it's a satisfying old-school RPG, but then it got to this point where I had to platform through these spikes, and I had to time them real well, and I was just like, that's enough of that game. So unfortunately, it was a real quick play for me. I basically only played the first level, but I did enjoy the sense of humor, and I love the look of it. Yeah, Magicka 2. Alright, and now, here's another 99-center that... Okay, I was confused about this one, because I saw some weird, like, Adult Swim video or YouTube video where the characters in this were talking to each other, and it was like a bizarre, weird, humorous thing. And so when I saw Dragoon here, I was like, oh, that's that weird thing with all the characters talking to each other. But unfortunately, no, it's not. All the weird... And I don't know what I was watching. But all the characters here are... well, you got 40 characters to play through. It is an endless dungeon crawler, and it is hideous to look at. It is hard to play. Nothing feels good. Jumping's not good. Moving's not good. Shooting's not good. With most of the characters. And yeah, I don't know what the heck I saw or what was happening, but this is all this game is. Yeah, just going into rooms with another crappy character, and then, I got to this boss fight, which was interesting. And all the bosses in this endless dungeon are playable characters as well. And I imagine if you get their special moves down and stuff, maybe you could do more with it, but who would want to? I mean, look at this game, look at the way it moves. It's just worthless. I don't know what this is about or what's going on, but even only paying 99 cents, I feel like I got ripped off. Alright. Now, sir, the Insult Simulator. This was another one that was 99 cents.
Changes into
let him talk here.
Fishmonger.
Your sister can't dance and changes into a ruddish fishmonger.
Your house was your wife.
Your house was your wife. Good one, dude. So this is an Insult Simulator. And basically what you do, and again, 99 cents. And I was like, whatever, this might be fun to play. And it actually is. But as the game gets harder, and if you do the tournaments, it almost gets unfair in the difficulty or in the way they give you words to use, where you just get stuck with the sentence because there's grammar points. And if you can't finish your sentence, you basically lose. Well, you don't lose the game, but you get a lot of damage. As you can see, there's damage bars up in the corners, just like Mortal Kombat. But it gets to a certain point in the game where your word options really run out, and you have to be careful about what you pick and think about finishing the sentence more than getting the points, and that gets a little tough. And I promise at some point, me and Odie were meaning to make a video of this, of just us playing it and seeing who can beat the other's bottom. I imagine it would be Odie, but yeah, hopefully that'll come. Anyways, moving on to Hard West. Hard West. I was really excited for this one. I liked the look of everything. It is a strategy, and I am not a strategy kind of fan. It is an interesting game, though. The opening of the story is fairly enjoyable to play, but I did get to I think this is the third confrontation in the game, and I just got my ass handed to me, and I kind of just gave it up at that point. Again, I think $2.99 this one was. I consider this more of a higher quality game, though. It really does play well for what it is, and I didn't mind XCOM at all, and this one does everything well, but again, you run out of moves, and if you're not strategic, like I am, then the game itself becomes cumbersome and hard and almost impossible, because, and then also, again, you have to play these levels multiple times. in order to figure out kind of the trick to them. Because it's strategy, but also it is puzzly, because you have to know, you have to get to the point, the aha moment, where you're like, oh, okay, I place this guy here, and that's how I get this guy, and that's how, you know, we beat this area or this level. And besides that, the plot itself is very interesting. Check it out, Hard West. Alright, moving on to Vampire the Masquerade, Coteries of New York. I've always heard tell about I think it was a PS2, or maybe it wasn't even on the PS2, maybe it was just a PC game. I'm a huge fan of the legacy of Kane games. So when I heard there was a 2D kind of action game called Vampire the Masquerade, I was really interested in it. It was, or is, based off of role-playing games, which are also related to Werewolf Apocalypse. And I think they're role-playing board games. I can't tell you for sure. They might be card games, to be honest, but I'm just not sure. This, however, is not that 2D platformer that I'd hoped for, and I've never seen a remake of it. Supposedly they're coming out with one eventually here, a sequel to that platformer, not 3D platformer, I'm sorry. But this is just basically a playable novel, and they've come out with another one of these after this, and you know, to be honest, I didn't mind it. And the fact that I think it was $1.99, made it worth playing and enjoying, and I actually did like the ending. I enjoyed it, honestly. Alright, and now the last little bit of the night. And again, this is not a 10 list or top 10 or worst 10 or anything like that. This is just a bunch of various games that I found for dirt cheap. And, you know, again, the cheapest of the cheap. I feel like I mostly got burned. It's hard to keep your interest in some of these. But this is Next Gen Sandbox. And, again, this is a game I think I might only play once or twice, but it's interesting. It's at least interesting. So it's a sandbox, so you create the stuff, and look at that terrifying baby coming at you. Why did I place you, baby? I thought you were gonna just hang around and have fun. No. As soon as I load into my game after I've placed the items, this creepy ass baby just starts coming after me, and I did not expect that at all. This thing is terrifying. Look at it. Oh! Ugh! Icky. It's that nightmare feel, 100%. So I placed a few things around and just tried to, and I don't want to shoot the baby either. I don't know. It's horrifying. But yeah, you can, you know, fly in the helicopter, you can drive in the bus. I really haven't... Stop hurting me, baby! I really haven't put enough time into it to create a proper environment. But to be honest, they don't give you a lot of options anyways. It's more of like a dicking around game than anything else. Just, you know, when you don't want to do anything else and you just want to waste time and kind of have fun. You see, now I've switched to another character, a playable character, and the baby's coming after me again. And, okay, I'm trying to get... And where's that meow coming from? But I'm trying to get into the helicopter just to fly it here. And, again, the controls are a little... what's the word? Counterintuitive. But it was fun. You know, honestly, I wasted an hour just placing different items and kind of playing with them. It really is a sandbox more than any kind of game maker. And... I don't know. You can just kind of dick around in it and spend some time. It's worth $1, I guess. But I don't see myself putting enough time into this to make something cool. There's just not enough resources at your fingertips in the game itself. But there you go. Yeah, that was Next Gen Sandbox, and that's all the cheap games, the cheapness. Thank you for watching Dorkports. All right, good night.